Draft Night Live, presented by Van Heusen. I'm Bob Pappas. The Giants have made their second-round draft pick. He's Xavier McKinney, the safety out of Alabama. We are joined by two-time Super Bowl champion David Diehl and Super Bowl champion Shaun O'Hara. And David, first of all, welcome. We replaced 2 rings with Carl Banks with 2 more with David Diehl. The Giants go defense here with their first pick of the second round, their only pick here in the second round. Shaun, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Xavier McKinney and the Giants going with Alabama pedigree?
Yeah, Bob, well, no surprise that the Giants are going defense here with this second pick in this draft. And, you know, really when you look at that Alabama connection, I mean, Howard Cross right now is doing somersaults because another Alabama
he can't do
player.
Somersaults.
Well, you know, he could try. I mean, maybe a cartwheel. I hope he didn't hurt himself. You know, I kind of have flashbacks to when the Giants drafted Landon Collins and, you know, the hype and the motivation that Landon Collins talked about when having to wait until the second round, how that motivated him. So I'm sure Xavier McKinney feels that same way. A lot of people had him graded and ranked as the best safety in this draft. So for him to have to sit and wait, the Giants are getting a motivated guy. But what kind of player is he? He's an aggressive safety. All right, he will play down in the box a little bit. But I think the thing that jumps out at you when you look at his college career is how about the turnovers he's created? 10 in his last 2 years, 5 interceptions, 5 forced fumbles, something the Giants desperately need. They need somebody alongside Jabril Peppers to create havoc, to create turnovers, get the offense, the football back. So I think that's who they're getting in this 3-year starter at safety. Obviously, for the Giants, trying to fill that hole that Antoine Bethea leaves, because he's no longer there. So they got more athletic at the safety position, no doubt.
David, your thoughts on Xavier McKinney?
Obviously, a pedigree resume coming from Alabama. The things that you love to hear out of his teammates and out of his coaches, that he's an alpha dog, he's a leader, he's a competitor, and that he absolutely loves the game of football. And when you see him on film, you definitely see that reflected in his play. You know, when they played 2 high, he played the free safety. When they played single high, he was the single high safety. And then when they would go nickel and dime, he would drop down in the box as that additional linebacker. So he has that versatility. He does a great job of pattern reading, seeing the wide receivers and understanding and diagnosing pre-snap so that he can get jump on that football. But the thing that you love about him is he's going to bring that energy, excitement, and to this young defense, a resume from Alabama playing at a high standard. And we know, obviously, with the background of Joe Judge, with him and Nick Saban, obviously you didn't have to go far to get a resume from him and ask his opinion. But I'm excited about the pick, him and Jabril Peppers side by side on that back end and having that additional help when we're looking at tight ends in the NFC East that are elite receivers like Zach Ertz. This is a guy that can come down in the box and cover.
Obviously, this is a player that, is going to understand coaching. He's going to understand this coaching staff and what they expect, having played for Nick Saban, if you just kind of draw the lines. And Shaun, I mean, that's something that's very important, bringing in people that understand your concepts. If you take a look at the first 2 picks the Giants have made now, whether it was Andrew Thomas playing at Georgia under Kirby Smart or now Xavier McKinney, they're bringing in people that understand what they're going to be preaching once they actually get these players to the facility.
Yeah, Bob, it's a great point. It's not just about accumulating talent. They're clearly going after some quality character guys. You mentioned Andrew Thomas. We talked a lot about him yesterday, and everybody's getting to know who he is, both as a player and as a competitor. He was a team captain, Andrew Thomas. When you look at Xavier McKinney, what is he bringing to the Giants from Alabama? He was absolutely a leader. Dave just mentioned it. He has that alpha dog mentality. He was the MVP of the team's Orange Bowl in 2018. So he's absolutely an impact player. I think the other aspect of it, and Dave touched on this too, is versatility. How many times have we heard Joe Judge say that exact word? Dave Gettleman talks about it too. So the fact that he can play multiple positions, he's going to bring a lot to that aspect. I think the culture that they're building there with these 2 draft picks already is just, it's all about winning. I mean, you're taking a guy from Alabama. Their expectation is so high every single day. every single year. If they lose a single football game, it's like their season is over with. So you've got a standard of excellence that Xavier is going to bring with him just naturally. Andrew Thomas, the same thing. He was playing in a bowl game every single New Year's Day. He was in the SEC championship game every single year. He's playing in Rose Bowl. So that kind of pedigree, that kind of championship culture, it's contagious. You want it in your building. You can't get enough of it.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the Giants need players on defense, whether it's an edge rusher, David, or whether it's a safety, a linebacker, a defensive lineman. I mean, they don't have anybody on their defense that necessarily scares you. And I know they want to do things schematically, but they've just added a guy that a lot of people think is a first-round talent in the second round. This is somebody that maybe over the course of time could be one of the weapons that you have to game plan against. So you think about Eddie Jackson, who played at Alabama. Now, he didn't go until the fourth round, and the Chicago Bears got a steal. The guy was an all-pro. Obviously, he had some injury issues in college, which forced him to drop. But I wonder if McKinney can be that same type of player for the Giants.
You know, that's the great thing about what we're having in our office right now is the fact that what Shaun just talked about, a player that comes in with a lot of football IQ. We know that this is going to be a condensed offseason, whether it's OTAs, minicamp, getting into training camp, so that you have somebody that can come in, step in, have that solid role and held each other accountable, even though he's a rookie. And when you think about the aspect, like Shaun said, coming from a team like Alabama, playing in the biggest moments, now coming to the New York Giants, he's going to understand what it's like being in a media market, dealing with the media after games, whether it's a win or a loss, and being able to handle the pressure of what it's like being in a big-time organization. So that's going to be a great thing for him so that he can have that transition to come to the New York Giants, which isn't very easy coming from a smaller school. But the fact that he's had all of this exposure at Alabama and the fact that, once again, he brings that football IQ and versatility, it sounds a lot what happened with free agency. It's about familiarity, about a guy that you can trust, about a guy that you can bring in and know exactly who he is as a person and his background. And like we were talking earlier, it didn't take Joe Judge long to call Nick Saban and really find out about Xavier McKinney and the impact that he's going to have on this Giants team.
All right, a lot of people thought that the Giants may go center with this second-round pick, or maybe one of the edge rushers that was still on the board. Obviously, they had a higher grade on McKinney than any of those guys. Shaun, when the Giants circle back, as of now, the Giants do not have a pick now until the 99th pick. Remember, their third-round pick went to the Jets with Leonard Williams. Do you think the Giants will be able to get a center that late in this second day?
I think so. You know, I think now that Cesar Ruiz is off the board, you know, going in the first round, I think had he been available here in the second round, this pick could have looked a little differently for the Giants. But they're going to monitor a couple of guys. And I think when you look at a guy like Nick Harris out of Washington, really athletic, has really great hands, really great feet, does a great job, even with the head up nose, even though he's not the biggest center, he did a good job getting some movement. I actually liked him more than I liked Cushenberry out of LSU, who a lot of people have rated high. If Nick Harris is there, he would be a viable option. Matt Hennessy out of Temple could be a great selection at 99th overall. So I think that would, you look at what that kind of brings. All right, everybody talks about Temple. Their slogan is Temple Tough. But Matt Hennessy, I watch film on him, and I see a lot to like. He may not wow people. He's not pancaking guys left and right. He's not a mauler, but he does everything really well. He's a great technician. He's got great hands, great footwork. He's a guy that could morph into a Pro Bowl type player, kind of like I was, but as long as he has some two good guards like I had, and some good tackles like my man Diehl over there. So the Giants could still get a good center later on in this draft, but clearly getting their tackle first round, getting some help defensively in the back in the backfield takes priority. I get that. You mentioned Leonard Williams. So if you think about the third round pick, I don't know if there's a pass rusher or a defensive lineman right now that is as good as Leonard Williams is right now.
David, you were a fifth-round pick. Shaun, you were an undrafted free agent that made the National Football League. I mean, this is one of those deals right now where there's more draft to go, and you can get quality players in later rounds. It really does depend on how good your scouts are, isn't it? And how well your coaching staff is.
Yeah, you definitely have to rely on the scouts, no doubt about it. And, you back that you look at Dave Gettleman's track record, I go back to what he did in Carolina, all right? Andrew Norwell was a guy that he found, was an undrafted guy, ends up being a Pro Bowl guard, signs a monster deal down in Jacksonville. So, when you can have those kind of quality players that you could find later on in the draft, that's a skill. That's a skill that Dave Gettleman has. He was a part of the Giants when they brought me on board from the Cleveland Browns. He helped find Kareem McKenzie. You go back and look at even Rich Soibert, an undrafted guy. So there's certainly talent out there, and you can find a way to find those guys.
We had a connection issue with David. We'll get him back up, and we're going to have Xavier McKinney join us here momentarily. And that's really one of the keys here. Shaun, do you agree? Like, fans can get very swept up in the head coaching process, and you can't underestimate the value of having a smart, well-organized man with a plan as your head coach. But really, if you look at successful coaching staff or successful head coaches and successful programs, it really is all about the quality of your staff from top, literally, to bottom, because developing players and taking later round draft picks or taking guys that are undrafted free agent, cultivating them and having them ready to play. I mean, 07 is the perfect example. You had a great coaching staff that got a lot of rookies ready that, when called upon, came up with big plays down the stretch because of injury. And I think Joe Judge has assembled that kind of staff.
Yeah, you go back and look at that 2007 draft class, right? Aaron Ross, all right, contributed a lot as a corner. Bradshaw, obviously, that big run up in Buffalo that kind of clinched our playoff spot. Steve Smith was a rookie that year. Kevin Boss had the big catch in Super Bowl 42. Zach Diassi ended up being our long snapper for the entire year when Ryan Keel went down in training camp. So no doubt about it, in this day and age, you have to rely on these rookies to come in and perform. It's no longer, the case where you come in as a rookie and you bring in breakfast sandwiches and you shine shoes. You're expected to make an impact. And I think it's even more so now. When you look at the landscape, Bob, what's going on right now with the virtual off seasons, the lack of pro days, the lack of bringing guys in for workouts and being able to give them medicals and spend time with them one-on-one, it's no surprise, really, when you look at what the Giants have done with their first two picks. Leaned heavily on Joe Judge and his relationships down with Andrew Thomas down in Georgia, obviously with Alabama. So they were able to glean some more information about the players, about the men that these guys are, about the character that they're bringing to the locker room, as well as the talent on the field. So that's definitely playing an integral part in all of this.
We're going to get Xavier McKinney, the Giants pick in the second round. He's coming up next as you keep it locked into the Giants YouTube channel, Giants.com, and the Giants mobile app. It's Giants Draft Night Live, presented by Van Heusen. We are joined by Xavier McKinney, who the Giants select with the 4th overall pick of the second round out of the University of Alabama. Xavier, congratulations. Were you surprised that the Giants took you when they did? Did you have a lot of interaction with them leading up to the draft?
It was a long first day. Of course, I thought I was going to hear my name called that first day. So it was kind of a tough night to kind of just a tough pill to swallow for me. But, coming into this second day, I was hoping that the day was going to be better, which it was. And I didn't know, what was going to happen. But, I was praying that something good happened, and, it did. And I'm thankful to be a Giant. And, I'm happy, and, my family's happy. So it's going to be a good night.
One thing that Coach Judge talked about a lot, whether it was the pre-draft interviews or initially the day that he was inducted as the head coach of the New York Giants, his word that he continues to talk about is versatility. That's something that you bring to the defensive side of the ball, whether you're playing too high, single high, in the nickel and dime situations, dropping down in the box. Just for those Giants fans that are out here listening right now, just describe what you love about playing on that back end of the defense and the strengths that you're going to bring to this team.
Yeah, I just love making plays. I try to, go out there every time and just, make my team, better. I try to put us, in the best possible positions, that we can be in as a team. So, I just like making plays for my team, for my coaches. That's what I play for. Of course, the fans. That's something I'm really excited for and, ready for when I get up to New York.
Xavier, for Giants fans, they really want to know, what kind of player they're getting, and Dave just mentioned it. So I got to ask you, as a safety, all right, look, you're obviously a thumper. You like to come downhill. You like to hit people. I know the Giants drafted Landon Collins a few years ago in the second round, very similar situation to what you're in right now. But got to ask you, would you rather come downhill and thump somebody, or would you rather get an interception and show off those return skills?
I just go out there try to make a play for my teammates and my coaches, and like I said, put us in the best possible position to win. But of course, both is good. To have an interception or to go make a big hit. But I try to do as much as I can.
I want to ask you about Joe Judge. Have you talked to him yet? And did you have an interaction with him? And did you know him prior to getting drafted by the Giants?
Yeah, I've talked to him. I didn't really know him prior to, when we talked over this whole process. I actually didn't know that he was, coaching at Bama at the time point. I know he's a great coach. I know he's got, a lot of things from, the things that I did at Bama are kind of the same way that, he tries to do things. So for me, I'll be likable, just being there. And being a part of the Giants Nation. So I'm pretty excited for it, and I'm ready for the opportunity.
Xavier, thanks so much. I know this is it's been a tough offseason for everybody. It's been totally different. We appreciate you taking some time. I will ask you one quick question. In this climate, how are you going to celebrate tonight?
I don't know. I'm just going to enjoy it with my family, some of my friends that are here, and just, be here and enjoy them, because they're really happy right now. But as of right now, we're all trying to just stay safe and, times like this.
All right, Xavier, enjoy the moment. Enjoy the time with your family. Look forward to seeing you and that elephant on your back in a New York Giants uniform.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.